I used to be a plain, ordinary film critic, but somehow weird stuff started happening around me. I found a childhood toy who rules an underground kingdom from out of my basement. I got a weird AI friend living in my TV. I fought a giant straight out of a kid's storybook and met a magical winter elf. But right now, I'm being forced to complete a checklist of TV and movie genres so I can save all of existence with the power of snarky film commentary. Ezri? Wait, Tilly's joining us. That's a crossover I didn't expect.
Oh my god, yes, wake up. Incoming transmission.
What? What? Who's on the line?
It's us.
I thought you said you'd be back by next time.
We were supposed to be.
But as an after effect of massive temporal turbulence, travel between the 6th and 4th dimension has been halted indefinitely.
So we thought we'd take a road trip. Maybe rent a cabin in the Cotton Candy Mountains. Or spend evenings under the stars.
Either way, we'd report back, but they don't allow that type of video on YouTube.
Gotcha. I'll, let you go then.
Are they gone yet?
Yeah,
Are you ready for more of the future by way of the 1950s?
I guess.
Well, I'm not. I've seen enough cardboard boxes with delusions of computerhood. Thank you very much.
You know, you're not this rude in the future.
Our story begins with...
Hold on, wait a second. I'm putting up the obscure Star Trek joke counter.
Our story begins with Officer Dingus getting out of his space patrol car to go on patrol. He gives the area a once-over and then an unseen figure conks him on the head. Then we cut to opening credits. Hey, Susie, I thought you said wish magic was literal.
It is.
Matt wished for something like Star Trek.
So?
This is giving me more of a Law and Order vibe.
Well, does Law and Order ever cut to an ad for a microscope you can order for 25 cents in a Wheat Chex box top?
Well, if you watch in first airings, it's trailers for The Voice and Kohl's ads. If you watch in syndication, it's a 2-minute war between Flo and Limu, Emu, and Doug. Anyway, now we're back with our regular crew heading back to Earth in a giant champagne bottle? Damn! And I thought Space Command was lazy. Not as lazy as Ensign Happy here. He actually bought one of those microscopes and is using it to examine the hair of Carol Carlisle, the ship's pretty girl. He wants to know if she's a natural brunette for, research purposes.
Come on. We know if she were a redhead, his curiosity would be more piqued. He'd want to know if the RAM matches the motherboard.
Anyway, they hit something and start shaking around.
Just like on...
Yeah, no need to rub it in. Then something weird happens. They realize what they hit was a huge body of water in outer fucking space. Look, I know we wished for something like Star Trek, but I didn't mean Season 5, Episode 9 of Star Trek Voyager. Commander Corey says, don't we have alarms to warn us about that kind of thing? The wannabe Wesley Crusher says, those are designed to handle possible things, not impossible stuff. First Officer Robinson says, impossible stuff? You mean like that ocean right in front of us? Carlisle asks, ocean? It looks more like somebody took footage of a faucet under a Space Patrol microscope. Corey checked with the computer. He says, hey, there's something else weird. In zero gravity, water should form a sphere. Someone has to be controlling it. Happy Boy says, how? There's no pipe. Corey says, I was thinking more of a straw than a pipe, but that's the idea. Happy says, wait, we could see that, right? Corey says, not if it was made of a force field. And hey, look, that river goes from Earth to Mars. I think we should check it out. On Mars, these two guys are talking about shutting down their water system for their lunch break. You know, they can't leave it active and unattended. That's a good way to flood their whole house.
One of the voices, it's like, I know who one of them is, but I don't know who it is.
Oh no. Oh no. It can't be. But it is. Henry Corden. For those of you not in the know, we've reviewed Mr. Corden's work before. Do you remember Flintstone's Little Big League?
And Flintstones Christmas Carol, your favorite, and Yogi All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper, your favorite.
And probably that episode of Scooby's All-Star Laugh Olympics. The point is, when Duke Mitchell's lounge act sort of took off in the late 60s, Henry Corden took over as the singing voice of Fred Flintstone. Hanna-Barbera must have been really impressed because when Alan Reed died in 1977, Corden took over as Fred's speaking voice. Meanwhile, on the ship, the crew go to the projection room to change course for Mars. Corey says, now all we have to do is look for a new body of water on the surface. They can't just make it disappear. Meanwhile, Fred returns from lunch. Slate says, here's the plan. Look, I know you already know this. I have to explain it for the audience. Step 1. Begin draining Earth. Step 2. Wait for Earth, pride of the United Planets, source of food for the 3 closest star systems, to run dry. Step 3. Ransom back everything we stole for billions of dollars. Fred says, wait, that was the plan? Then why did you have me go abduct Santa Claus? Slate says, shut up. Now that we finally have water on this planet, I'm gonna hit the head. The crew called back to Earth. The Admiral says, we're gonna need you to stay out there for a bit. But with the Great Lakes being gone and them starting to suck down on the mighty Mississippi, Corey says, look, we've already been looking all over Mars and found Zip. We could be out here for a while. Could you at least credit our Grubhub accounts so we can get some Jersey Mikes? They come up with a plan. Robinson and Carlisle will take the ship to the last known siphon point and wait for the machine to come on. Once they're inside the big pipe, they'll fire photon torpedoes and blow the pumping station to hell. The captain and Idiot Boy will have a much simpler task. They're taking the money that was set aside for their paychecks for the duration of the 5-year mission down to the surface to pay the ransom. The young Ed Mercer asked two very simple questions. How can we trust these guys to keep their end of the bargain? And how do we know they even have the water? I mean, I checked this location on Google Maps and all I see is a giant lake. Corey says, when was the last time you heard of a lake on Mars? Happy says, not since Percival Lowell back in. Corey says, it was a rhetorical question. Number son. When they get down there, Corey says, see, we can trust these terrorists. So I'm going to do exactly what they said. I'm going alone and unarmed. So, here, you take my gun. Then he goes off to explore the Martian desert. He comes to this cave. Fred and Mr. Slate are there. He hands them the suitcase. Fred says, it feels kinda light. Hey, it's empty. Corey says, duh, did you really think we were gonna pay up? And then they get into a fight. It's over so fast that it makes Batman versus Guy Gardner look like the 1893 match between Andy Bowen and Jack Burke.
And our villain wins by knockout.
Meanwhile, on the ship, Robinson and Carlisle have been waiting hours for the siphon to start back up. Right when it looks like things might be happening,
It cuts to an ad for Wheat Checks.
yup, but then, holy Sunset Boulevard! We're right back at the start of the episode. Only now we can see that he was knocked out by Fred Flintstone and Mr. Slate. Slate says, let's take him back to our base. If the United Planets finds out we have them, we can double our asking price. Funny, I don't remember that being in the rules of acquisition.
You could apply the 17th rule. A contract is a contract is a contract, but only between Ferengi. Or the unwritten rule, when no appropriate rule applies, make one up.
Meanwhile, on the ship, Carlisle says, you don't think anything's gone wrong, do you? Robinson says, no, of course not. I've got weapons running hot. The moment the siphon forms, I am ready to go at the push of a button. And what do you know? They get a call telling them right where to go. Carlisle asks, are you sure you want to do this? Robinson says, uh-huh. My CO said to destroy that pumping station at all costs, and that's what I'm gonna do. If he's still on the planet, that's his problem. And best of all, I get a field promotion to captain out of it. Corey and the idiot boy wake up right as Fred and Slate start draining water. Corey says, you do know I told my first officer to blow this place up the moment you turned your machine on again, right? Slate says, you're bluffing. Fred asks, how do you know? Slate says, because he's the hero. Heroes don't do that kind of thing. Fred says, really? Because I went to bad guy school with this guy named Michael Eddington? When I was at the class reunion, he told me... There's another fight. Corey manages to turn the machine off, but not before the missiles launch. Slate and Fred manage to get it running again as Robinson prepares another volley. Carlisle asks, are you sure? Robinson says, Mr. Worf, fire. Corey and the ship's idiot race to get out of there before the whole place explodes. And Slate was right. These guys are heroes. They risk their lives to save these unconscious bozos. They make it to safety. Corey calls the ship. He says, "Hey, can you not fire those last missiles?" They ask why. Corey says, "Well, I caught the bad guys. Look, I forgot to charge my phone and we really need to get to the shuttle pod." They get back to the ship. Happy is screaming about water in his sleep. Robinson says, "You want water? Fine." Then dumps it on his head. Spock says, "Captain, I see no reason to stand here and be insulted." They all laugh, then freeze frame out. And that's it. That's the episode. Yes! All joking aside, when you take into account when the show was made, what special effects were available, and the audience they were trying to reach, this show is pretty good. In the same way that Tales of Tomorrow and science fiction theater ran so Rod Serling could fly with the Twilight Zone, it's hard to see Lucille O'Ball and NBC taking a chance on Star Trek if Space Patrol hadn't been such a big hit 15 years prior. Oh, sure, it doesn't have the same degree of ethical complexity that makes Star Trek, well, Star Trek? But you can't really expect that from a kid show designed to sell rice checks.
So, what's your next episode?
If I have any say in the matter,
I'm free of signal intrusions, so you'll get no complaints from me.
Me either.
we're doing Star Trek. For real this time.
As long as this isn't the one where the captain is a plant with a tomato growing out of his forehead.
What? I have so many questions.
Now answer as much as I can without causing more time paradoxes.
First off, how old are you?
That's a difficult question. Chronologically, I'm negative 10 3/4 years old. Biologically, I'm 9. But I experienced the year 2032 almost 4 times now. So psychologically, I'm about 13.
Wait. Huh?
Like I said, I'm telling you as little as possible.
Without causing time paradoxes. Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. You're the cause of the time anomalies, right?
More of a contributing factor, but yeah, maybe some of them.
And it seems these delays in your parents' trip home have caused them to go from having occasional but monogamous hookups to something a little more serious.
Are you trying to ask if by traveling back to the past, I caused myself to be born?
Yeah.
Best not think about it. I have a question for you. Does it count as monogamous if they swap partners with themselves at different points along the timeline?
Or Auntie Agnes. There's a whole question of if Simon is my godbrother, half-brother, or since he was conceived via magic, my 2/3 brother.
Now I'm confused.
Like I said, it's best not to think about it.
Ha 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 ha. He's fallen into my trap.
What do you mean, Master?
He left his last Star Trek review on a cliffhanger. Which means he will have no choice but to watch Season 2 of Star Trek Enterprise. So, we may well be able to pluck victory from the jaws of defeat. All we have to do is find a way to control his episode queue.
It sounds like a waste of time. There weren't very good episodes in Enterprise Season 2. The only thing it had going for it was T'Pol and her cleavage. We'd win, even if we did nothing. Nothing.
I wonder what Gizmo is dreaming about.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
And remember, to really help this channel grow, visit patreon.com/ParodyErrorFilms and become a patron today.